Hey everybody, DeWayne Rains with Key Digital here with my good buddy Jonathon Ferry. We're here for another exciting episode of Key Digital Live, otherwise known as KD Live. And Jonathon, tell us what we got exciting today. I think it's going to switch us around a little bit, huh?
Oh, buddy, the puns are starting already. I like it. Yep. As so eloquently alluded to, we've got some new HDMI switches in both our Slim and our Pro series that have just launched recently. Are hot off the presses, already shipping, already installed a number of them across the world, and we wanted to give everybody the proper introduction to these products.
Yeah, these have some, especially the Pro Series has some really exciting new features that we've not had before. So I'm really excited to hear about all that.
Oh, yeah. Well, then let's jump right in, shall we? So we'll start with that Pro Series, DeWayne. And the model for this is our Pro 4x1 X-2. So for the folks that are familiar there with the Pro 4x1, became Pro 4x1 X, and now Pro 4x1 X-2. A lot of times we're just releasing a few updates in these products. They're not totally reinventing the wheel here. So that's why we're trying to keep those model numbers pretty cohesive to keep that familiarity for all of our customers who have been designing products with systems with key digital switches inside, and for those purchasers who know where to look on their price sheets. So the Pro Series, it is a rack mountable form factor. Okay, that's one of the differences here of the Pro Series. It's a 1 rack unit height. It is a half rack unit width. It includes a half rack blank in the box, so it can be installed in the rack there. And for those of you who...
So you can install one with a half rack bracket, or you can install two with that connector in one single rack unit space.
That's right. That's right. We also have, as a sold separately accessory, DeWayne, a bracket that can put 2 switches of the Pro Series side by side. So just, to fill out that space. More features that the Pro Series has that the Slim Series does not. We have IP control. That's going to be the big one here. We also have additional connectivity here that instead of just listing one by one, and then it's going to be 10 minutes before you see the Slim Series, we'll just show them as they come up. But another really cool feature here is this fixed setting of auto switching. So this is for those applications that really need are relying on auto switching. They're planning to purchase the switcher to be an auto switching system. They could just set that toggle switch on the face of the unit for auto switching, set it to on, and how that works is when you connect a newly or when the switcher detects a newly connected signal, it will automatically advance to that newly connected source.
You don't have to disconnect. So even if something's already connected, it'll sense the new connection and switch to that newly connected source.
Yes, that's right. And how it's actually detecting that is based on hot plug detection. So we utilize hot plug detection in a few different ways here with our switches as a troubleshooting tool. If you should encounter any kind of obstacles in your installations, we have these tools to get you out of there with a successful install without having to purchase any additional parts or roll out the van again. Well, how hot plug works is it's voltage that it's shared over pin 19 of the HDMI. And imagine you have a source that's always up and running. You have a display that's not. When the display turns on, it sends voltage to the source, says, hey, you've got a live partner here. Let's do these next steps of the HDMI handshaking and that kind of thing. And it's a loop, though, as I said. So not only does it go from the display to the source, it also goes from the source to the display, or in our case, the source into the switch. Hey, there's something either newly connected or newly powered, right? You power something up, whether it be a cable box or or for example, with a computer in the presentation application, which is a very popular application for these Pro Series switches, somebody turns on the laptop, that fires that hot plug through the HDMI pin 19, like I said, into the switch, boom, that's going to switch over. So no, you don't have to unplug and replug. And it will also, if they then close their lid on their laptop or disconnect the cable, it will then advance to an active signal. It actually sequentially moves. So if it was on 2, it goes to 3 to 4, and if nothing's active until 1, that's where it'll land, for example, landing on that first detected active partner, if you will, active source.
That's a very convenient setup there.
It's automatic. There's nothing more convenient than that, right? But speaking of setup and convenience, wow, DeWayne, thank you for this.
What a segue. What a segue. I'm full of it today.
Another cool feature that we have on the Pro Series is set up via USB. So some of the models in the past, you had to set up over IP. And if you haven't worked with a lot of our stuff before, Key Digital, 95% of our models, they're all static IP. And the default IP address is 192.168.1.239. Well, that meant if you plugged it into a network that, let's just say, was 192.168.0. something or 10.0.0. something, you had to, on your computer, change your computer's static IP address on the Ethernet port to be 192.168.1. something. Then you'd be able to access the control with the switcher through our key digital management software or traditional line strings. But now with the...
And not everybody is an IT professional in the AV industry. A lot of us are now because of we have to be more and more, but we want to make it easy for everybody.
And nothing's easier than just connecting that USB, boom, KDMS Pro, Key Digital Management Software, scan via USB button, finds a switch. Now you could move the switcher's IP address to the 10.IP address. You could set the system name. So if you have 5 of these, 1 per classroom, class 1, class 2, class 3, you could give a name like that. So on your network, you could see which switcher you could choose your switch and control it through the KD app or the Key Digital Management software.
Jonathan, wouldn't it be great if we had like an online GUI on these switchers?
Yeah, absolutely. And we do. That's the new one. That's all right, buddy. We're 1 for 2. Was
that a cheesy segue or not?
Well, and so here with the Key Digital app, for example, how the Key Digital app works is you could scan the network from an iPad and you'll see all of your different all your different Key Digital devices on the network. And now you'll see them by name. And you can control the switching, but we've also got an additional feature where the Pro Series switches can be a control hub for a completely integrated system of Key Digital switching, Key Digital audio amplifier preamp, and our Key Digital PTZ camera for video conferencing rooms.
Wow.
So in Key Digital Management software, we just turn on tell the system, yes, I have an amp. Yes, I have a camera, or just one or the other. And the app will send the commands now over IP, of course, since it's an app. And the switcher will output those camera controls that are coming in on IP so that you can control the amplifier via RS-232, because the amplifier is a simple product with RS-232 control though, but not IP. So a lot of people love our amp because it is RS-232 controllable, and it even has a microphone input that can be mixed with the signal, the audio coming in from the switcher, for example, or another audio source. So we just forward that RS-232 from the switcher to the amplifier. And if you have our PTZ camera as well, so on one side, you've got like large presentation rooms or conferencing rooms with the PTZ webcam that we have. And the beautiful thing is, because it's on a Phoenix connector, you can actually just double stuff the wires in, and now you can control both the camera and the amplifier from those same two transmit and ground pins of the Pro 4x1X, the Pro Series X-2, that is, Pro Series switcher, to control both of these devices for a full system. And you have a full interface where we have our switching, we have our volume controls on these faders, and you can hit the camera tab to tab into and control the camera. And if you don't have a camera or an amplifier, then those tabs are not visible. It's all set in the Key Digital Management software, but the result is a full interface. Now, DeWayne, you had a question just a moment ago, but I forgot what it was.
Saying, it would be really, really good if we could even just have an online GUI that we could just go to from, say, a PC.
Yes, sir. Wouldn't that be nice? Here it is. Here it is.
Shall receive.
The web UI. So it's over the local area network, not over the internet. And if you have the IP address of the unit, is how you enter that into your web browser. So if you did have 5 classrooms and the teacher just thinks for a moment, did I forget to turn off the camera or something along those lines? Well, they could have bookmarked the IP address of their camera in their phone, in their web browser, and they could enter even from outside of the classroom. They could make sure the status of the system, they can control the system with no programming required. Again, it was just a series of checkboxes and drop-down menus that said, yes, I have a camera, and yes, I have an amplifier that gives you this. And so many people are using web UIs now that we took it one step further, and we also give the setup options by hitting this gear icon in the top right corner. You can enter the name of your switcher. You could enter the input and output names. You can control saying, yes, I have an amplifier. Yes, I have a camera. And you could set up the IP address and even update the password for accessing the switch as well. So all in there in the web UI, really cool stuff. And really what's making this work though, DeWayne, is that the web UI or the Key Digital app is communicating over the network into the Pro Series switch. And we're outputting that command to the camera to control the amplifier and camera on our RS-232 port. Well, we figured, hey, you know what? This is really cool, but in all of our customers, they're experts, they're professionals at taking a feature like this and building a system around it, Absolutely. And so we publish this as part of our open API, that forward command, where a command comes in on the RS-232 port, and as long as what comes in on that IP port, excuse me, I misspoke, is up to 16 characters long in ASCII format, that can be output on the RS-232 here. So step one, the control originates here on the IP port, and it's coming from your controller. Okay, it comes from your controller, goes in on the IP port. It's output here on the RS-232 port, transmitting ground. It's one directional, so there's no data coming back in on the receive. And then here we see our amplifier RS-232 port. Here you see the camera RS-232 port. So now, so it comes in, and you could do this from any control system. It comes in from the controller, and it could be output as long as it's ASCII and 16 characters long. And what's cool is the RS-232 port is an adjustable baud rate. So if our cameras and amp is 9600 baud, but if something's 57,600, you just set that up in the Pro 4x1X-2, and there you have it. So
yeah, so like you mentioned, any control system, of course, our compass control, and we already showed how our free KD app works. Our WPA-2, which is a great little 8-button control pad, but then open API. So as we mentioned many times, we play well with others. So whether you have whatever your control platform you prefer, this is just really, really flexible and makes it very powerful for such a cost-effective solution.
Such a cost-effective solution. This was something that we originated with our UCC systems, which is doing pretty much exactly like this. But this product I know comes in at a fraction of a considerable savings, the cost of the UCC products,
Right.
because the UCC products have HD-based input and output, for example, and that makes the price higher. So, so there, yeah, we have a number of options for you. And that brings us to our Slim series, something more simple, right? Because not everybody always needs all of that.
Absolutely.
So we have you met there as well, and really, whoops, what it comes down to, DeWayne, is with Key Digital on so many products, our offering is basically we want to offer a step in and a step up, right? The step up has these well thought out features to help with integration, but the step in products, slightly smaller sizing, thanks to a few less connections, as we'll get into. But we never
easily mounted under a desk, sometimes out of the way. So yeah, and these are great too. I just wish you had the control on this, Jonathon. But
well, we don't have IP control, but DeWayne, something new we've added here is RS-232 controllability, buddy.
Wow, who knew?
So I'll show you more on that. But what's really important is we never ever, just because it's something slim, and we see the size here, compare this, the 2x1 is smaller than the iPhone 13 there. So you can see the size. We never ever sacrifice what makes it reliable, and we never ever sacrifice, what is the core of how this is installed. So even on the Slim series, pardon me, S simple, S slim, you take your pick of what you want it to significate. Oh, okay. And there we go. And so, for example, here we have HDMI out plus audio de-embedding, for example, integrating into a sound bar here, which is very yet again another popular application. What makes it reliable? EDID control with 16 different options, so you can choose the handshake you want to provide to the HDMI source, making sure they're outputting, giving you the video resolution you want and the audio formatting you need. Hot plug detection control on this toggle switch. I had alluded to that earlier. I talked about how it worked earlier, so I don't have to explain myself again, but let's just say that my analogy earlier was a single source and a single display, but we don't live in that world of source to display direct. Typically, we have additional layers of connectivity. Maybe it's switchers, maybe it's extenders, maybe it's a long run cable. And so that voltage could kind of dip over long distance and over many connectivity hops. So flip this to the on position forced hot plug. It lights up the voltage on the inputs and on the outputs. So the sources and the displays always think they have a live partner ready to go. It speeds up that synchronization. So that's another nice tool. And then something brand new of this Dash 2 model, DeWayne, per your request, my friend, my buddy, we now have RS-232 control, where previously you only had IR and the push button. We added it on that USB micro service port, and we even include this USB to 3.5 millimeter stereo adapter, so that controllers like the Bright Sign signage player that maybe they need to switch the source, or controllers like our partners over at QSYS and beyond, or a controller like a Key Digital Compass control, can send an RS-232 command into this switch for just that added reliability of RS-232, right? People really feel more solid with that connection there. So this is
one thing I wanted to point out about specifically this diagram here using the Bright Sign player. This is actually from a real world use case where they had their digital signage, but they didn't want it playing all the time, but they wanted it to be able to interrupt or switch from the regular cable boxes that were playing normally to inject the digital signage on a schedule. And so they're using that RS-232 port on the digital signage player into that RS-232 port on our switcher. And that's how they're accomplishing that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something else too, and that's a nice rollout. These digital signage jobs. So for those of you needing you know, an advantage on your digital signage products of, hey, A/B switching selection, and an advantage of price point, it's not going to get
Well,
any better.
and not wanting to have to put something else on the network necessarily. Maybe you don't want, for something simple, because I know in the signage applications, this can come in very, very, very handy, but then also just simple control applications.
You said it. You said it best, my man. So there you are. Let's stop the share. Some new products, some new solutions for HDMI switching with some new updates that should really get our customers excited and get their gears spinning on how they could use these products and how they're going to help to fulfill a solution for them.
Yeah, especially with the pro version with the IP control switching to RS-232, you can make some nice small huddle room space systems without going full bore. And if you need to extend that camera, you can just put our USB 2 extender on there. All kinds of ways to do it. I mean, we've got so many tools in our toolbox, how we can utilize our systems together. And this is just another fine example of that. And the engineers have done a great job with these new features. And Jonathon, I know you had a lot of influence in that. And so we want to thank you for that.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Dwayne. I want to thank you for hosting me on this show, giving me the platform to tell
Absolutely.
everybody.
We always love it. And so folks, reach out to sales@keydigital.com. Find out about all our new switchers and anything else, and just whatever your project has. And our system design group is here ready and waiting to help put together the perfect solution to make your life better, to make you look good to your customers. That way your customers look good to their customers, and so on and so on and so on. And that's what we're all about here. And so, Jonathon, thank you for another exciting edition of Key Digital Live. And we will be back next month with something even new and more exciting. So check us out.
And more live.